This is Puck Year, New Zealand's hockey podcast with hosts Logan Swinkles and Joe Jury, bringing you the best stories and interviews from Down Under.
Hey guys, it's Logan here. No Joe this week. I've given that guy the week off with the podcast because he's been working his ass off with the great guys at Radio Hockey and their coverage with the Alternative Commentary Collective of the Black Caps semi-final win over India to make it through to the Cricket World Cup final and back-to-back tournaments. Amazing stuff. Great game last night. I'm not a huge cricket guy, but man, that was a great watch. And of course now, by the time you hear this podcast, we'll probably know who they're playing in the final, which will either be England or Australia. Now, personally, I would love to see them play in Australia because we always love to see New Zealand taking it to the Aussies. And speaking of doing exactly that, the Inland Ferns wrapped up their World Roller Games campaign in Barcelona last night, beating Australia, very convincing, I might add you, 5-1 to claim 11th place in their playoff game there. Obviously not the placing that they would have hoped for, but I guess the odds were kind of stacked up against them a little bit in this tournament. You know, they were in the so-called pool of death with USA, the number one ranked team. I mean, you know, it's USA. You've also got, you know, France, Chinese Taipei, and Italy. But, you know, they came out on a high, wrapping it up the tournament that way is awesome stuff. Not going to dilly-dally too much. We'll just get straight into our interview this week. It's with Henri Tikkanen, import goalie with the Dunedin Thunder. And I get that's kind of one of the awesome things with the New Zealand League and the time that it plays, you know, sort of between that May, August, September time is when the Northern Hemisphere leagues are, you know, they're not happening. So this is a good opportunity for those guys to come down to New Zealand or Australia and, you know, just keep themselves match fit, get a few games in, and then they can hit the Northern Hemisphere season rolling. But Henri caught our attention because he's actually a fan of the podcast, we learned very early on when he was coming to New Zealand. So that's awesome. So yeah, without further ado, please enjoy our interview, and thanks for listening, guys. As always, if you haven't subscribed to us, do so, please, so you can get our interviews first, be the first in line, I guess you could say. You know, we're on Spotify, SoundCloud, iTunes, pretty much anywhere I guess you get your podcast from. We're probably there. If not, hit us up. Also, hit us up if you have any feedback or whatnot, because we're kind of in this I guess this transition period, obviously with me being in Australia, kind of makes things a little hard, trying to make it work. We put the call out about, you know, having video editors help us out because along with obviously doing the NZIHL highlights and all that stuff, we want to be doing some bigger projects. Obviously, we've got the Capital, it was called Capital Ice, actually, a little insight there, but the Frosty Spot documentary, we're working on that, wrapping things up there. We've also got the Ice Blacks documentary on the go from, you know, my time with them in Colorado and Mexico. So when you've got those kind of bigger projects as well, you know, on the shelf and sort of just waiting to be worked on, and then you've got all the stuff with the highlights, we kind of do need a bit of a team now. Things are starting to grow. So if you're interested in, you know, helping us out and getting involved and getting stuck in, you know, reach out to us. You know, we'd love to hear from you. Sorry. I miss Joe. Like, I know I'm pretty much saying this every podcast now, but need that guy on the show. Enjoy the rest, buddy. And for all of you listening at home, please enjoy our interview with Henri Tikkanen from the Dunedin Thunder. It's awesome to have you in New Zealand, but you know, us Kiwis, we love to hear what foreigners think of our country. So what was like your initial first impressions of New Zealand when you came here?
Well, it felt surprisingly much just like home because everyone has been very friendly here, and it's been really easy to adjust and settle into New Zealand because everyone has been very warm and welcoming to me, and the team and the family I live with have made it so easy for me to get settled in here. And yeah, I've been happy since day one and really look forward to what the rest of my time here brings me.
That's awesome. I've always been really curious, you know, what's the recruitment process for an import like you coming to the NZIHL? Do Do you hear about the league and you try and get in touch with the team, or did the team get in touch with you? How does that work?
Well, actually, I first found out about ice hockey in this part of the world through my coach about 5 or 6 years ago, who had a Finnish coach coaching in the Australian league, and they needed a goalie, and they asked me to come, but at that time I was too busy with all kinds of stuff back home in Finland, and it wasn't possible for me to go. But ever since, I've been really trying to get to play here, to the Australian league or the New Zealand league, or actually more the Australian league. And I just heard about the New Zealand league last year, about these times last year, from my teammate from Finland who played for the Dunedin Thunder actually about 7 years ago, and he told me that I should apply here as well. And he gave me some contacts, and I contacted pretty much all the teams, but the Thunder were the first to respond and showed the most interest. And yeah, things just took off, and here I am now.
And so once you've got your team, you've got the Dunedin Thunder, what kind of research do you do about the league before you head over here?
Well, I just started Googling stuff, and I found out that the teams, that the league streams every game live on YouTube, and you can watch them after they are originally played. And yeah, I watched a couple of games from last season, pretty much just every team, tried to figure out how the level of play and what's the style of play they play here. And after doing some more Googling and watching videos, I found out that, hey, there's two guys making a podcast about it, and I thought that I'd check it up and listened it, and found like the first episode I listened some more, and yeah.
Do you remember
stuff like that?
Do you remember what that first episode was that you listened to?
I think it was something about the ending of last season, like one of the episodes that came out just after the season, I guess, but can't really remember which was the first one, because I've listened about 25 of your episodes, so yeah.
Don't worry, man. We probably don't remember them past a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
That's so awesome, though. Like, obviously, you watch the games on YouTube. So from seeing a couple of games, what was like your impression of the quality of hockey?
The quality of hockey is very good, I think, and it looked pretty different, of course, but I think that's true to every league and every country, that the style of play is different.
Yeah.
And depending on what the conditions are and who are coaching and stuff like that. But yeah, I thought it looked good, and I thought that it would be so cool to go play there, and I was hoping that I would make a difference in one of the teams, and I hope that I have done that here.
Well, I'm sure the Thunder love having you, man. I think it's so funny from what I've heard. Megan, who does an amazing job with the media of the Dunedin Thunder, she also mentioned that you actually learnt how to speak English from listening to this podcast. I feel so sorry for you, man. That.
Well, yeah, that's there's something in that, but it's not the whole story, because back home in Finland we started learning English when we were 10 at schools, and I think most of my studies or learning has come from there. But I actually started getting into the Kiwi accent through you guys, by listening to you guys, because I know that the accents can vary a lot, and even though you might speak the same language, but it can be totally different. And I thought that when I come here, I want to be ready and prepared, and in any way I can. So I thought that listening to you guys talk about New Zealand hockey was good preparation for me.
Can you do like an impression of a New Zealand accent at all?
No, I can't. I know I only picked up a couple of words like reckon and we and those kind of things, but no, I don't think I really can. I'm just gonna embarrass myself.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. I mean, we always see it like an American TV shows, and they just always end up sounding Australian. But you personally, you coming from Finland, it is the land of Teemu Selanne. How much of a god is he over there?
Oh yeah, he used to be huge back in the days. Now that he's retired, the fuss has come down a bit. But when he used to still play, he was a superstar back home. Like, he was the most well-known player, and I think he could still be the most well-known Finnish player of all time. And he had a very positive image on the media all the times, and yeah, he was a hockey god, and everyone knew everyone who didn't even follow hockey do know who Teemu Selanne is back home. So yeah, I
And
think
now,
that tells us something about how big of a star he is.
oh yeah, totally. And now, like, Finland is really on the rise, and in international hockey. And is that kind of part of it? Do you think Teemu's kind of helps sort of, I guess, pave the way? Like, I mean, I assume hockey over there must be like, a big deal, but compared to say rugby here, but does having guys like Teemu sort of help really drive the sport and keep the growth going?
Oh yeah, 100%, absolutely. Because every time there's a Finnish team or a Finnish player succeeding at a high level, then the sport kind of grows. Like what has been happening in basketball, that the national team has been on the rise for a while, and now they have a Finnish NBA player, and I think the sport is rising in Finland as well. But I think that's what hockey has been the most successful back in the days and during the past couple of decades, and the success of uh, players like Teemu Selanne and Jari Kurri definitely have helped the sport to grow, and the national team's success in the World Championships and Olympic Games and World Cups has also lifted the hockey in Finland for sure.
And I was doing some research into, I guess, notable Finnish goalies, being a goalie yourself, and you kind of don't really think about how many sort of big name goalies actually come from Finland. Do you ever, just kind of listing off a few? Obviously, the big one right now would be Tuuka Rask, but you've also got Tikkanen, UC Saros, Kerry Layton, Antti Niemi, Antti Rantner. Do you ever get to work with any of these guys in the off season? Like, do they come home and sort of do clinics and stuff and help teach other Finnish goalies?
Oh yeah, many Finnish NHL players, even the goalies and the skaters also usually have their own clinics and hockey schools, and they try to help the kids. And it's pretty cool that they usually also visit like each other's camps during the summer and schools, and you get to meet them. But I haven't really had much practice with those guys because they do most of their practice by themselves or among other NHL players. But yeah, I've been lucky enough to meet some of them, and it's been really nice.
Who are some of the, I guess, the big Finnish names you've been able to meet?
Well, I was very lucky to play in the same team when I was playing for Jokerit in the under 16 league. That we had for the Carolina Hurricanes now. So I think he's the biggest name that I played in the same team with, and I also spent some time with Columbus Blue Jackets goalie Jonas Korpisalo.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, and also Columbus forward Markus Hannikainen was also my teammate back in the days. And yeah, it's been pretty cool, and I feel privileged to play with some really high end guys.
I think the call dropped out when you were mentioning the name of the guy from the Hurricanes. Who was that?
Teuvo Teravainen.
Oh wow!
He won the Stanley Cup with the Chicago Blackhawks a couple of years ago, and yeah.
That's awesome, man. I was sort of wondering, is there something in the water there that makes Finland such a breeding ground for top tier goalie talent? Is there something that's going on over there?
Yeah, it must be the water, I guess. But yeah, I think it's because Finland has had systematic goaltender coaching for decades, and that's something that other countries started to pick up only after Finnish goalies started to break through in the NHL.
Huh.
And I think, but Finland is like the forerunner in that area, and it's kind of standard for any junior club that wants to be a good club that they have to have systematic goalie coaching, and almost every team has their own goalie coach. And I think it's that when you have good coaching at any level you play in and any age group, then it just helps you so much.
Yeah, totally. You mentioned it because I saw that you are a big Anaheim Ducks fan, which Joe loves, of course. But I was curious, Is there a lot of Nashville Predators fans in Finland now that both their goalies are Finnish? Tikkanen and UC Saros?
Yeah, I think it affects. And even though if they wouldn't be hardcore fans, then they at least pay more attention to the Predators and other teams that have Finnish players. And I'm the same. I follow most of the teams that have Finnish players because I found them for some reason the most interesting. even though they wouldn't be my favorite teams.
Yeah. So it's just so interesting to me. Because you have, you mentioned in Finland you have systematic, goalie trainings and stuff like through the ranks. Now that you've spent a bit of time in New Zealand, what's like your impression of the standard of the Kiwi goaltenders?
The standard of Kiwi goaltenders is, well, it's a bit hard to say because in the league there's now three import goalies playing, but the two guys who are Kiwis, the Admirals and the Swarm goalies, they are pretty good. And especially I really like Rick Perry's style of play. But I haven't been able to see too many Kiwi goalies, unfortunately. But with our team, we have John Barakauskas, who is really good, and I think he's going to be a good goalie in this league, and he has a chance to go play in Europe in the lower professional leagues, I think.
Yeah.
If he keeps it up and gets some playing time. But yeah, I think in New Zealand they could also use like more knowledge and more systematic and professional goalie coaching, but unfortunately the finances of the sport in here are not at that level yet. So
yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, but we'll see.
I mean, Rick Parry, you mentioned he started up his own goalie academy to sort of try help out with that kind of thing. But do you because you've had that training, you've got that experience. When you've got guys like Jonas Barakauskas and Evan Froger there in the team, are you sort of helping to, I guess, push their game further by you being there?
Yeah, I have. We have been doing off-ice workouts with the goalies, and I try to plan something new for us for every time, and have like some themes that I pick up on the ice that I think we would work off the ice as well. And I've been trying to help them on the ice and off the ice, and yeah, just trying to make them better as I try to make myself better.
Nice. I mean, hopefully it all works out like that. Obviously, the 2019 season, it's almost over. It's done so fast. It's only 10 weeks, but how have you found playing for such a exciting team like the Dunedin Thunder?
It's been very nice, and the team has been very welcoming to me, and the team is just full with the nicest guys I ever played with, and then we have a good cohesion in the team, and it's been very, very, very much fun. I've been really happy there, but of course there has been some unfortunate things, like players have had to leave the team, and there has been injuries and all kinds of stuff. So that has affected our success on the ice and hasn't helped us winning games. But there's still plenty of games left and plenty more games to win. So we'll see where we are after the season ends.
Yeah, speaking of players leaving, you stepped up for the Thunder and you helped to recruit your buddy Miska Autio from your team in Finland. How did that go about?
Well, as soon as we found out that we're going to be short a couple of players, I just sent some messages to group chats of players and former teams that I played in, and there was a huge amount of interest in many players, but since it's summer, in the middle of the summer back home now, and everyone has their summer jobs or vacations or things pretty much organized already, then it wasn't possible for many guys to come here for just to play 8 games. But fortunately, Miska was available, and yeah, things got on pretty fast, and we agreed. I think it was last week's Wednesday when they agreed to take Miska on the team, and he was in New Zealand on Friday. So things happen sometimes pretty fast. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, definitely, like I said, you stepped up there, and I'm pretty sure everyone in the Thunder is very appreciative of that. Outside of playing the games in the NZIHL, what are you doing, during your time? Are you getting to explore New Zealand?
Yeah, pretty much. We've been able to travel with the team to Queenstown and twice to Auckland, and we're going to visit Christchurch. And in Queenstown, we took an extra day of work so we could stay there for one more day to see the sights and see the city. And yeah, that's pretty much what I try to do, to see sights and see places and get those amazing views that New Zealand is full of. And yeah, try to make new Kiwi friends.
Yeah, what are the two, biggest highlights for you out of places like sites you've seen? What are two that have been most memorable for you so far?
Well, I'd have to say that Queenstown was really beautiful. The city is amazing, and the views are just fantastic. And I also made a bungee jump there, which has been my dream or something that I wanted to do for a long time. And yeah, that was pretty cool. And the weekend in Auckland was also nice, or the weekends, even though we didn't get any wins. But the city was, I really liked the city, and it was nice to see such a big place. And on one of our bye weekends, we also visited Wellington, which is yeah, I have to say it's one of my favorite cities that I visited. Really liked it there.
Yeah, Wellington is awesome. If you get time to go back there, I would recommend you go check out the ice rink that there is there.
Oh yeah, the frosty spot.
Yes. See, you know about it. You know New Zealand. This is amazing.
Well, I actually know about it through you guys because you made an episode or two about Wellington ice hockey. So yeah.
And then what happens once the season's over? Are you straight back to Finland playing in the Suomi-Sarja League?
Actually, I have my flights back home only on September 3rd. So if everything goes according to the plan, I still have 2 more weeks after the last final game, and I'm gonna spend those exploring New Zealand. I've been thinking about renting a car and driving around the North Island for a week, and then driving another week around the South Island. But yeah, so it's gonna be good and good to see some more places. And after I have to leave, I'm actually only going to stay in Finland for 2 weeks, and then I'm going to Denmark to play in the Danish second league next year.
Nice. I'm curious, if you're doing the traveling around the North Island, are you much of a, Lord of the Rings or the Hobbit fan?
Oh yeah, I am, and the Hobbiton is definitely one of the places I want to visit.
Yeah, I mean, I would highly recommend it for anyone. I am not a fan of those movies in the slightest, but I've done the Hobbiton set tour, and I loved it, and I'm not a fan. So I can imagine you being a fan of the movies, you're gonna absolutely love it there, dude. You're gonna have the time of your life.
Oh yeah, that sounds nice. Yeah, that's definitely on my list.
Is there because in those 2 weeks, obviously you got North Island. Are you gonna try see more of the the South Island as well, places that you don't get to go to during, the places you go when you play?
Oh yeah, I have some with Miska. We have pinned some places to visit, and especially on the west coast because Queenstown is the westmost place that we get to visit. And when we visit those places during hockey season, we are still pretty tied to playing hockey, and the days pass pretty much at the rink or at the hotel. So I think we're gonna visit Queenstown once more and have some more free time there and go see Milford Sound and Doubtful Sound at least.
Mm.
And yeah, we have a big to-do list for our time here, and really look forward to going and exploring the beautiful country.
I bet, man. I lived in New Zealand for 31, 32 years, and there's still so much that I haven't seen. So you trying to cram all that in the space of, a few months, it's awesome, man. I really hope you get to enjoy as much of, our awesome country as you can. Do you see yourself coming back in 2020 though? That's the big question.
Yeah, I really hope that it's possible. And right now, I don't see a reason why I wouldn't want to come back. And it's been very nice here, and I've really enjoyed my time here, and I really enjoyed hockey so much here. It's so much fun. And yeah, I really hope that I can come back next season.
Awesome, man. One question I have to ask pretty much every goalie is what made you want to become a goalie in the first place? Because typically they're seen as a very unique breed of person,
There are 2 stories. So the official story is that we had only one goalie in our junior team, and he was moving to another city next year. So the team bought a set of goalie gear, and every skater got to try it out once. And I tried it once, and then I found myself thinking that what could I do better next time, and then I asked if I could give it another try, and the things I thought I could do better actually worked. So then I got kind of excited about it and wanted to do it. So that's the official story. But the actual story, what actually happened was that I was this chubby little kid who wasn't as fast skater as the other guys were. So as a goalie, you don't have to skate so much. So that was maybe more comfortable for me then. But yeah.
I love that. Yeah, I mean, it's my favorite position in the sport. That's for sure. There's just so much going on there. When you did pick it up, who were some of the goalies that I guess you looked up to?
Well, my favorite team, Jokerit, had Kari Lehtonen back in the days playing for them, and I think it was about those days when they won the Finnish championship, and Lehtonen was the starting goalie. So he has been one of my idols when I was a young kid. But in the recent years, I really started to like the guys you mentioned, like Tuuka, Rask, and Pekka Rinne, for their athleticism and their fast reactions, and how they're like constantly looked at, they're aware of the situation. And yeah, I think those are my favorite guys.
With Joker being, your favorite team growing up, what was that like for you to play in their under 16 and under 18 clubs?
It was kind of dream coming true on a smaller scale. Like when I met the team, I was pretty excited because another team that I applied for had turned me down previously that spring. But then Jokerit got me there, and then we actually played an exhibition game against the team that turned me down, and we won them like 8-1. So yeah, I was pretty happy.
Nice.
Happy about it. But yeah, it was great, and we had a great team and won the under 16 national championship that year. And I got to meet some of the greatest players that I've ever played with, and really good high-end players nowadays. And yeah, it was definitely a good time.
Awesome. Well, Henri, I won't hold you up for too much longer. It's been amazing having you in New Zealand, and just seeing how much you're enjoying being here. I really hope that we get to see more Finnish imports come down in future years. So thanks again for your time, buddy, and wishing you all the best.
Thank you. I wish you all the best as well, and thank you for doing such an amazing job of covering all of New Zealand hockey. I think you guys are really helping the sport to grow and helping import players get to know about New Zealand and making them want to come here.
Puck yeah! It's New Zealand's home for hockey. Subscribe on iTunes, SoundCloud, or with your favourite podcast app for the latest episodes. Follow the team on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at PuckYeahNZ. And for your fix of hockey news, go to puckyeah.nz.